In Japan, you can tap a card and watch your bicycle disappear underground. You can send your suitcase ahead, then continue your trip without dragging it through packed train stations. An online package can wait for you inside a locker instead of making you stay home and wait for the delivery driver. And on the sidewalk, raised tiles beneath your feet can quietly guide someone who cannot see. The strange thing is, not every idea on this list requires advanced technology. They simply begin with a question that many other places never ask. Why are we still putting up with this inconvenience? There are 14 ideas in this video. Some are extremely modern. Some are so simple that it is almost hard to understand why they are not more common. But number 1 is the most interesting of all. It does not need electricity. It does not need a screen. It does not need artificial intelligence. And yet, it may be the hardest idea on this entire list to copy. Let us start with a very modern problem. Number 14. Your package arrives when you are not home. You order something online. The delivery driver arrives while you are at work. You are not there. You get a notification. Then you have to reschedule the delivery, travel to a pickup location, or simply hope you are home the next time. It is a small problem, but it happens millions of times in societies where online shopping is part of everyday life. Japan has a very practical answer: package lockers. Japan Post operates locker systems such as Hakuposu, and other locker networks also allow certain packages to be left at secure pickup locations. You do not have to organize your entire afternoon around the delivery driver. The package waits for you. You do not wait for the package. It is a tiny reversal, but a very smart one, because we often build systems around the assumption that people should adapt to the schedule of the service. Here, the service tries to adapt to the schedule of the person. You go to work. You go to school. You go out for dinner. Whenever it is convenient, you stop by the locker and pick up your package. A good system does not just deliver what you need. It tries not to take over your entire day while doing it. And if being freed from a package sounds convenient, the next idea frees you from something much heavier. Number 13. Send your suitcase ahead. Imagine that you have just landed in Tokyo with a large suitcase. You need to take a train, change lines, walk through a crowded station, pull your suitcase up and down, find an elevator, try not to block everyone else. Then do the whole thing again a few days later when you travel to the next city. In Japan, luggage forwarding turns part of that problem into something you do not necessarily have to handle yourself. Travelers can send luggage from the airport to a hotel, from one hotel to another, and in some cases from other service locations as well. You send the suitcase. Then you continue your trip with a smaller bag. What I like about this idea is that it does not try to make the suitcase better. It does not add smart wheels. It does not create an application that reminds you to pull your suitcase. Instead, it asks a different question. Why do the person and the luggage have to travel the same way at the same time? You need to get to Kyoto. Your suitcase also needs to get to Kyoto. But that does not mean both of you need to squeeze onto the same train. Sometimes the smartest solution is not making a burden easier to carry. It is making sure you do not have to carry it at all. And the next idea takes something that occupies space above ground and simply makes it disappear. Number 12. Underground bicycle parking. Bicycles are great for cities, until hundreds of them need somewhere to stand. Then you get long rows of bicycle racks covering the sidewalk. Bicycles parked everywhere, narrower walkways. Something that reduces traffic creates a completely different problem with space. In some parts of Japan, automated bicycle parking systems solve this problem in a way that looks like something out of science fiction. You roll your bicycle into a small booth. The system recognizes the bicycle. Then machinery moves it into an underground storage area. Some systems can hold hundreds of bicycles underground while using a relatively small amount of space at street level. When you need your bicycle again, the system brings the correct one back up. This is what I like about the way Japan approaches problems. They do not just ask, how can we fit more bicycle racks onto this street? They ask, does all this storage really need to be located where people are trying to walk? Now the problem has changed. And when the question changes, the answer changes too. At this point, if you could bring just one of these first three ideas to the place where you live, which one would you choose? Package lockers, luggage forwarding, or underground bicycles parking? Comment 14, 13, or 12. Do not choose the one that looks the most futuristic. Choose the one that would actually solve an inconvenience you deal with. Because from here, we are moving away from huge systems and toward much smaller moments. Number 11. Pay for your ramen before you sit down. You walk into a ramen shop. Instead of sitting down, waiting for a server, reading the menu, ordering your food, eating, and then waiting for the check, you may find a ticket machine near the entrance. Choose your ramen. Choose your toppings. Pay. Take the ticket. Give the ticket to the staff. Most of the decision-making and payment process is already finished before you even sit down. Many ramen shops in Japan use this type of system, and the clever part is not the machine itself. The clever part is the number of interactions it removes. Customers do not have to wait to place an order. Employees do not have to write the order down by hand. The kitchen receives a clear order. And when you finish eating, you do not create another round of waiting just to pay. A small restaurant can focus more of its attention on the thing it actually exists to do: cook food. This is efficiency without trying to look clever. There is no robot carrying your bowl. There is no hologram. There is only one question. What can be completed at the beginning so that everything afterward becomes simpler? And from a ramen shop, we move to a place where this lesson starts when people are still very young. Number 10. Students help clean their own schools. In many Japanese schools, cleaning is not something completely invisible that happens after students leave. Students participate in cleaning their classrooms and shared areas. They may sweep, mop, organize, take care of the spaces they just used. From the outside, you might think, this is just a way to reduce cleaning costs, but that misses the most interesting part. When a child understands that they are also responsible for returning the classroom to good condition, their relationship with that space changes. A piece of paper on the floor is no longer simply, someone else will take care of it. A messy desk does not completely disappear from the responsibilities of the person who just used it. The principle behind this is powerful. When the people who use a space also participate in maintaining it, cleanliness is no longer just a service provided by someone invisible. You begin to understand the consequences of your own actions. There is no need to turn this into a moral lecture. Just think about an ordinary household. If one person creates the mess while someone else always resets everything afterward, the first person has a hard time understanding how much work that mess actually creates. But when responsibility is shared, behavior can start changing before the cleaning even begins. And Japan is also extremely famous for applying a similar way of thinking to a much more private place. Number 9. A toilet is no longer just a toilet. The washlet has become one of the first things people think about when they talk about everyday technology in Japan. Heated seats, water washing, adjustable temperature, or water pressure, depending on the model. Some versions include deodorizing, drying, automatic functions, or sounds designed to provide additional privacy. The first time you look at the control panel, you might think, why does a toilet need this many buttons? But the more interesting question is, why do we accept that certain things we do every single day are not worth improving? Technology is usually marketed in places that seem exciting: phones, cars, computers. But this way of thinking puts technology into an activity so ordinary that nobody talks about it at the dinner table. And that is exactly what makes it interesting. If something happens every day, A small improvement there may be more valuable than an impressive feature you only use once a month, but the next idea barely needs electricity at all. It is right beneath your feet. Number 8. Yellow tiles can give directions without making a sound. If you have ever watched footage of streets or train stations in Japan, you may have noticed strips of yellow tiles running along sidewalks and platforms. That is tactile paving. The surface contains raised lines or dots designed to help people who are blind or have limited vision navigate and recognize certain points that require attention. And there is something even more interesting about it. Tactile paving originated with a Japanese inventor named Seiichi Miyake. Think about how this problem could be solved using modern technology, an application, a global positioning system, audio instructions, Bluetooth. But tactile paving solves the problem using something extremely basic, texture. You do not need a battery. You do not need a phone. You do not need a network connection. You do not need to know the local language. The environment itself carries the information. This is one of the strongest design lessons in the entire video. A truly accessible system does not always require the person facing the difficulty to carry another device. Sometimes the environment itself should change to meet that person halfway. And this is also where I want you to try a harder question. Think of one completely ordinary inconvenience in your city that people have become so used to that they barely complain about it anymore. Packages, parking, public transportation, accessibility, rain, waiting in line, or something else. If your city could be redesigned from scratch, which problem would you want to disappear first? Comment with just one problem. You do not need to give the solution, because the next few ideas show that sometimes the first step is simply recognizing that normal does not mean optimal. Number 7. The rain stops at the door. You walk through the rain. Your umbrella is wet. You enter a store. Water starts dripping onto the floor. In many places, what happens next is very familiar. You carry the umbrella inside. The floor gets wet. Employees clean it. A slippery floor warning sign goes up. The problem is handled after it has already appeared. In Japan, you may find stores that deal with the problem right at the entrance, using umbrella stands, umbrella bags, or other methods that keep water from the umbrella from traveling deeper into the building. This is not some incredible invention, and that is exactly why it is interesting. Instead of building a faster cleaning system, stop the water at the first possible point. A small problem disappears before it ever becomes someone else's job, and this is a pattern I see repeatedly in Japan. Prevention often looks less impressive than intervention, but it creates less work. You do not see an employee rushing over to mop the floor. You do not see the solution in action, because success means there is no problem to see. Number 6, you can order food without being able to read its name. Sampuru, Japan's famous food replicas, may look at first like nothing more than fun decorations. A plastic bowl of ramen, a fake plate of curry, a fake dessert that looks good enough to make you hungry through the restaurant window, but they serve an extremely practical purpose. Imagine you are a tourist. You cannot read Japanese. The menu contains names you do not understand. You do not know the portion size. You do not know what the finished dish is supposed to look like. You could use a translation application, ask the staff, guess, or you could simply look at the display. Food replicas turn a language problem into a visual problem. You do not need to know how the dish is written to understand that one. I want that. This is a powerful design principle. Do not make users learn your system when your system can explain itself. Many products and services fail at exactly this point. The instructions get longer, the menus get more complicated, the application gets another tutorial. But sometimes the smarter approach is to turn a choice into something people can understand almost immediately. And from here, we move to a system where accuracy can affect the entire day of millions of people. Number 5, the Shinkansen treats 1 minute as something worth caring about. The Tokaido Shinkansen is famous for punctuality. The important point is not the exaggerated story that Japanese trains are never late. They can still be affected by weather, natural disasters, and other disruptions. What matters is the level of precision the system tries to achieve. Central Japan Railway Company has reported extremely low average delays in recent years, even when the effects of natural disasters are included. Why does that matter so much? Because a train does not exist in isolation. You get off the train, change lines, go to a meeting, pick up your child, check into a hotel, catch another connection. A small delay inside a massive transportation system can spread into thousands of individual plans. Punctuality here does not simply mean we are good at running trains. It also communicates something else. The passenger's time is treated as something the system is responsible for protecting. And that is something many of the good designs in this video have in common. They do not just manage physical objects. They manage people's time, attention, and uncertainty. But the next idea depends on something no timetable can create. Number 4, losing your wallet does not necessarily mean it is gone forever. That feeling when you reach into your pocket and your wallet is not there is almost the same in every country. You check again. You check your bag. You go back to where you were sitting. Then you start thinking about your cards, your cash, your identification, and everything you might have to replace. Japan has a highly organized lost and found system involving railway operators, airports, and the police. Koban, the small neighborhood police boxes found throughout Japan, are also a familiar part of the community support system. The important point is not some promise that everything lost in Japan always comes back. No place is that perfect. What matters is that there is a clear path for a lost item. Someone finds it. It is turned over to a place that can process it. The information is recorded. The person who lost it knows where to ask. But the system explains only half the story. The other half is behavior. A good lost and found system means nothing if most people who find something decide to keep it. This is where the video begins to shift from. Japan has smart systems to a deeper question. How smart can a system really be if the people using it refuse to cooperate? Keep that question in mind. Number 1 will depend on it. If you enjoy videos that do more than simply show you unusual things in Japan, and instead break down why a system works and what problem it is actually solving, you can subscribe here. The final 3 ideas go deeper into the part I find most interesting, the point where good design and good behavior begin to depend on each other. Number 3, the platform tells you where to stand before the train even arrives. A crowded train station can turn into chaos very quickly. People trying to get on, people trying to get off, people running, people standing in front of the doors, people who do not know where each train car is going to stop. At many stations in Japan, markings on the platform help make part of that behavior visible. Door positions, places to line up, lines that show waiting passengers where they should stand. When the train arrives, passengers getting off have room to exit first, and then the flow of people entering can begin. The lesson here is not. Japanese peoples are good at standing in line. That turns a design problem into a stereotype about people. The more interesting part is that 2 things are supporting each other. The environment gives users a clear instruction, and the users generally understand that the instruction is worth following. If the markings are unclear, behavior becomes difficult to coordinate. If the markings are perfectly clear but nobody cares, the design still fails. This is where a sentence I think is worth remembering comes in. A good system should not force thousands of people to invent their own rules of behavior at the same time. When everyone understands the same next step, movement becomes easier. And number 2 takes the idea of one place solving many problems and applies it to somewhere you can walk into almost any time. Number 2, a convenience store is not just a place to buy snacks. In many countries, a convenience store is exactly what the name suggests: drinks, snacks, A few things you might need in a hurry. In Japan, convenience stores, commonly called konbini, have developed into a kind of miniature infrastructure for everyday life. Depending on the store and location, you may find cash machines, copying and printing machines, ticket services, everyday necessities, hot and cold food. Some locations also support services related to package delivery or travel. The point is not simply that one store carries a lot of products. A supermarket can do that too. The difference is that many small tasks are combined in one place that people are already passing by anyway. You do not need a separate trip just to print a document, a separate trip to find a cash machine, another trip to buy one essential item late at night. This is a different lesson about convenience. Convenience does not always mean make every individual service faster. Sometimes it means do not make me travel to 5 different places just to complete 5 small tasks. A good konbini becomes a small node in the city. It is not somewhere you plan your entire day around visiting. It is simply there, along the route you are already taking. And finally, number 1, after automated bicycle parking, package lockers, the Shinkansen, washlets, tactile paving, ticket machines, you might expect the final idea to be the craziest piece of technology of all. It is not. Number 1 might be nothing more than a wooden table beside the road, a few vegetables, a handwritten price sign, and a box for the money. Number 1, a store with no salesperson. In some rural areas of Japan, you may come across roadside produce stands that operate on the honor system. Vegetables, fruit, maybe a few other local products. The prices are displayed. There is no cashier standing there all day. You take what you want, leave the money as instructed, then walk away. From an engineering perspective, this is the simplest idea in the entire video. No motor, no underground machinery, no touchscreen, no heated seat, no railway timetable. But think about what this system actually requires. The seller has to be willing to leave the products there. The buyer has to understand that. Just because nobody is watching does not mean the rules have disappeared. That is trust. And this is where the previous 13 ideas begin to take on a different meaning. Platform markings only improve the flow of people if the people standing on the platform are willing to respect them. Lost and found systems only work well when the person who finds something sees returning it as normal behavior. School cleaning only has meaning when the people using a space accept that maintaining it is not always someone else's responsibility. Package lockers work because many different parts of the process, including the sender, the carrier, the locker system, and the recipient, all do their part. Punctuality becomes trustworthy because thousands of small tasks throughout the system have to be performed with a high degree of precision. Tactile paving helps other people simply by being in the right place, in the right form, day after day. Even a simple line is a small agreement between strangers. I will not do whatever is fastest for me personally if doing so destroys the flow for everyone else. And I think this is what the video is really about. It is not that Japan has more gadgets. It is not that everything in Japan is better. It is not that every Japanese system should be copied by every country. It is that there is a noticeable pattern. Many small inconveniences are treated as important enough to redesign. Waiting for a package is inconvenient. Give the package somewhere to wait for you. Dragging a suitcase through a station is exhausting. Give the suitcase a separate journey. Bicycles are taking over the sidewalk. Move the storage underground. You cannot read the menu? Turn the information into something visual. You cannot see? Give the ground another language. Umbrellas bring water into the store? Stop the water at the door. A station is too crowded? Do not simply tell everyone to be orderly. Design the places where people should stand. But design is only half of it. The other half is how people behave while using that design. Maybe that is why number 1, despite having almost no technology at all, is the most fitting way to end the list. An unmanned roadside stand cannot be saved by great user experience design. if people simply take the products and refuse to pay? In the end, some systems depend on something that is extremely difficult to buy, a certain level of trust that the next person will do their part too. And maybe the word connecting all 14 ideas is not technology. It is something closer to respect. Respect for other people's time. Respect for the person trying to get off the train before you get on. Respect for someone who cannot see the path the same way you can. Respect for shared spaces. Respect for an item that belongs to someone you have never met. Respect for the person who will use the system after you. When respect becomes part of the design, something interesting happens. Life does not necessarily become futuristic. It simply becomes less annoying in dozens of tiny moments. And that may be the real reason so many Japanese ideas make people think, why do we not do this? Not because the solution is incredibly complicated, but because the problem has existed for so long that we stopped noticing it was still a problem. If you want to keep exploring Japanese systems like these, things that seem completely normal in Japan but make the way the rest of the world handles the same problem suddenly feel strangely complicated, subscribe. The next video will go deeper into Japanese solutions that are not as famous as the Shinkansen or the washlet, but quietly help cities, stores, and everyday life run more smoothly. Because sometimes the smartest idea is not inventing something new. It is looking at an old inconvenience and finally asking, why are we still living with this?